What do you remember most about that matchup?
Well, it was a really important game for Oklahoma State because they were in a situation where they had a new quarterback. The defense was sort of coming along, but wasn't to the level it's at right now. A new coordinator that year, so they were still trying to figure a lot of things out, and that was a really important game in the future of that team. Taylor Cornelius was the quarterback. He was a fifth-year senior who came in and earned the starting job, a former walk-on who finally got his chance to start and came in and had a really good game and led that Oklahoma State team to a victory. I'm most curious about what Boise State can do against the run, because that's a big concern about what Oklahoma State can do offensively.
And that has been a concern for Boise State the last 2 weeks, stopping the run. They struggled against it at UCF. They gave up 255 yards on the ground there. They were better last week, but early on in that game, they still struggled. They really struggled just with the fundamentals of tackling in the first week of the season, and maybe that was just season opening jitters. Who knows? They were better there last week, but like I said, they still gave up some running. But they know, we just got done talking to Spencer Danielson, the co-defensive coordinator, and he said it starts with the running game at Oklahoma State, and then it goes to the RPO game and the play action game. So they know they got to stop the run. Boise State's really experienced on defense this year. They have 9 starters back from last year, a couple of super seniors on that side of the ball. They're very experienced at linebacker, very experienced on the defensive line after really not being that experienced there last year. They will be without one of their top linebackers for the first half. Riley Wimpy, who's been their leading tackler the last 2 years, got called for targeting in the second half against UTEP, so he'll be out in the first half. But they have a redshirt junior and Brandon Hawkins who can fill in there, and I don't think they'll miss too much of a beat. But I mean, you're right. Stopping the run is the focus for Boise State in here, and that's they know that's what they have to do, and I think that's what they're going to come into the game focused on doing. So my first question for you, Spencer Sanders, Oklahoma State's quarterback. He made his debut last week. What are his strengths on the field, and how is the offense different when he's out there?
Well, his biggest strength and his biggest weapon of all is his ability to run the football. He had 2 big runs in the fourth quarter against Tulsa that helped to seal that game. One, a 37-yarder that set up the final touchdown that ended up being the deciding points of that game. And then another one on a 3rd and 8 when he rushed for 9 yards and got the last first down that they needed to ice the game. So his biggest weapon is his feet, his ability to get out of the pocket and move. He can throw on the run, but he's especially dangerous when he takes off running, and that's what they need to utilize, because you look at this offense, the way they've struggled to get the run game going the first 2 weeks. They were a little bit better in the second week against Tulsa, but they still need to improve. Still at 3.3 yards per carry in the second game of the year. So not a great run game right now, and they need Spencer Sanders running the ball effectively to be able to continue that with that RPO game out of the backfield and do some things so that the play action can be more effective and they can take advantage of their talented wide receivers.
Oklahoma State has 7 super seniors out there this season. I'm curious what impact they've had on the team, specifically linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez.
They've been a big impact. 6 of those guys are starters. The 7th one, Logan Carter, is a tight end, and he would be a starter, but he's been injured the first 2 games and could be out for a while. Otherwise, he would be in the lineup too and making a big impact as well. But all 6 of the guys that are available are starters. Malcolm Rodriguez is the most impactful of all. He's the leading tackler, 28 tackles through 2 games, and really a guy that has taken another step above what he was a year ago, and he was a really talented linebacker a year ago. So he's a guy that is a playmaker, a really reliable tackler. When he gets his hands on somebody, they're going to the ground. And he's making plays all over the field. He looks more patient in how he's making plays and where he's attacking, and he's making better decisions because of it.
But you mentioned that Oklahoma State's offense has really struggled through the first 2 weeks of the season. Where do they need to improve there, and how do they do it?
That's the $1 million question in Stillwater right now. It's a big question because everyone thought, including coaches, thought they were going to have a little bit better offensive line than they've had this year, and it hasn't been up to what they expected. The running backs are they've got 4 really talented running backs, and they're trying to cycle all 4 of them through and get them all some touches every game, and that's been a little bit of a challenge because they haven't been able to run the ball as much. It's a really interesting dynamic. But like I said, they improved. They almost doubled their yards per carry, which is a little bit sad when you consider they were at 3.3 the second week. But they went from 1.9 yards per carry to 3.3 in the second game. So they're making strides, and that's the important thing. They shuffled some guys on the offensive line to get them in a little bit better situation. They thought moved Cole Birmingham from right guard to left tackle, and they feel pretty comfortable with him there after they had a long left tackle battle in the preseason that went on into the first game. They had two different guys playing that position and rotating through, and they moved both of them to the bench now and moved Birmingham over from right guard. So trying to patch things together as best they can on that offensive line and figure out where guys belong. And then from there, they feel like they've got the running backs to get the job done. It's just a matter of giving them some holes.
So you mentioned a little while ago about how important the last Oklahoma State Boise State game was. I'm curious, how Oklahoma State is viewing this game. It's a group of 5 opponent. It's a non-conference game. How are those guys viewing this game in Stillwater?
Well, this is definitely their biggest non-conference game of the year, and being a road trip, the first road trip of the year, really an important game. This is one that the team knew was coming. Obviously everybody's curious what playing on the blue turf is going to be like, and how that's going to affect things. But this is a game that Oklahoma State has known was coming for a while and has been preparing for. So, guys were already getting some looks at Boise State early in the week, trying to look at some film, and they've caught the games that were on TV down here as well. So this is definitely an important game, and with the way that Oklahoma State's first 2 games have gone, it's an even more important game now, because they really need to build some confidence before they head into conference play. And I want to ask you the same thing. How big is a game like this for Boise State, having a Big 12 team coming in and playing on their home field?
I think it's big on several levels. I mean, for one, Boise State's made its name in big games against Power 5 opponents. You think about the 2006 Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. You think about the 2014 Fiesta Bowl against Arizona. Wins on the road against Virginia Tech. I mean, they really relish. Boise State wants to be a Power 5 program. Right now, they're in the running for the king of the Group of 5, but they want to be seen as a Power 5 program, and to do that, they got to beat the Power 5. So they understand that. It's also a big deal just protecting their home turf. I mean, the Albertsons Stadium has been one of the toughest places to play for opposing offenses in the last several years. The crowd noise forced 44 false starts between 2018 and 2019. They forced 3 false starts last Friday against UTEP. So it's not the biggest stadium. It only holds maybe a little over more than 36,000. But the way it's engineered, the crowd noise really echoes down into the stadium, and it really creates a problem for offenses big time. And then on the last level of why this is such an important game, there are reports out there right now that there could be a second round of Big 12 expansion. Boise State and Memphis have been mentioned in that. I mean, obviously, Boise State's looking at this game as an audition of sorts. I mean, if they can come out and put on a good performance against Oklahoma State, it's got to help their case. So actually, I wanted to end kind of with a big picture question for you. We've talked a lot about Big 12 expansion. I'm curious, what was it about UCF, BYU, Cincinnati, and Houston that made them the obvious choices for the Big 12? And what does Boise State have to do to earn an invitation?
As far as what made those 4 obvious choices, I don't know that they were necessarily obvious. I think they were. It was a pretty difficult process. But you look at all of them; they're all in or really close to major TV markets. They're really big schools with good football in their recent past, or even longer than that in terms of a program like BYU that's been a really good program for a long time. And I think that they feel that the combination of those 2 things was something really important to what they were bringing into the Big 12. As far as BYU, or I'm sorry, as far as Boise State, I think that they were right there on the cusp. They had to be in the top, the top list of programs that were being looked at for this move. And I think that they just keep doing what they're doing. And if the Big 12 decides to make another move, they're going to be right there. So I think Boise State has put themselves in a good position. I was a little bit surprised that they weren't in the top four myself, and in this first round of expansion. So if there is another round, I think there's a very good chance that Boise State is included, and I think that they've done what they need to do to get themselves in that conversation. From your perspective, what is the situation there, and what is Boise State looking to do going forward?
They're saying all the right things, but obviously they want to be in a Power Five conference. I mean, this is a program that sees itself as a national contender. Excuse me. They have a national brand. They're not a cash cow. Boise State's athletic department generates somewhere around $56 to $57 million a year. The football program generates almost half of that. So from a money standpoint, there's still some ground to make up there for sure. But I mean, they're a brand that everyone recognizes, nationwide. They're getting a special cut of the Mountain West TV money because their brand is so strong. So I think they want to be in a Power Five program. I just think they got to be really smart with the decision they make. I mean, obviously, if there's an invitation to the Big 12, you take it. If there's an invitation to the Pac-12, you take it. Now, the AAC, if that invitation comes, is that as attractive? Not necessarily. You have added travel costs. You don't have that much more in TV revenue, comparing the AAC versus the Mountain West. So for Boise State, I think it's Power Five or bust.